So what's going on guys, Kate's here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the best Diablo Immortal tier list in 2024. So this game in general has a bunch of fun classes to play and we have a wide variety to choose from. But the big question is, which classes are actually good and how much damage can they do? So I've done a bunch of testing and here's the best tier list that you've been waiting for. And stay tuned till the end of the video, because on top of the tier list I will give you the strengths and weaknesses of each class and much more. So if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So then moving over to the first class, which is the Demon Hunter, and she gets to be placed in the S tier. So the popular Demon Hunter class from Diablo 3 returns to Diablo Immortal with a devastating arsenal of powerful abilities. She can do insane amount of damage to groups of enemies while moving around the battlefield at a safe distance, which makes her amazing for leveling, farming and endgame dungeons. The Demon Hunter is the best class for single target damage, which makes you very useful in group content. So then as far as your pros go, the Demon Hunter can move while shooting their auto attacks. This allows them to consistently deal damage while positioning themselves out of harm's way. The best part is that you can use abilities while moving and auto attacking, so this turns you into a death machine. And then lastly, if this wasn't good enough, then you can simultaneously activate your Vengeance and Reign of Vengeance skills to become the highest single target damage dealer in the game. Since most mobs die easily in Diablo Immortal, building towards a single target build is always the way to go. So then moving over to the cons, and Demon Hunters always lack in crowd control. The best skill in your arsenal is the multi-shot ability, which has great range and spread, but once that's on cooldown, you're left with mostly auto attacks. It also doesn't help that you're one of the squishiest classes in the game, so you will need good positioning and quick decision making, which makes this class not the easiest to pick up for new players. So then in my quick summary, the Demon Hunter is really good at PvE damage and dodging attacks from the bosses, which makes her one of the best classes for farming and group dungeons. Overall, she has the highest single target DPS in the game, and she thrives when fighting at range, and even though the Demon Hunters are slower than other classes, they can do damage while moving. So if you are looking for a very high damage class with a fun gameplay, then this is the one for you. So then moving over to the second class, which is called Barbarian, and he gets to be included right in the S tier. So Barbarian is a savage fighter class that uses brutal attacks to crush his enemies. His amazing abilities to wipe out hordes of enemies with the AoE attacks makes him a great choice for leveling and farming. The Barbarian is an aggressive class that is constantly getting up close and personal to deliver devastating attacks. This class is the king of melee combat, so you will have to be most of the time in the heat of the battle, whether you're fighting monsters by yourself or leading your team into battle. Barbarian has many different skills that have crowd control, which allows you to endlessly pin down your enemies. And on top of being one of the best solo player classes, the Barbarian has some of the best group buffs in the game, once you get the correct legendary items, which makes this class must have in any group content. So then as far as your pros go, the Barbarian is one of the fastest characters in the game, and when using the right legendary items, you can give a speed boost to the rest of your teammates. On top of being insanely fast, they are also impressively strong and can speedrun through any content that the game has to offer, being able to deal massive AoE damage as well as the ability to put out a huge damage numbers makes him one of the best classes for PvE and PvP. And then lastly, if this wasn't enough, then at the endgame, the Barbarian gives all his teammates plus 25% increased damage. So then with that said, now let's move over to the cons, and the Barbarian has to get close to his enemies, which comes with great risks, because when content gets harder as you climb the ranks of challenging rifts and different dungeons, you will feel a considerable need to focus on your defense. This class is also very dependent on the ability to burst down enemies quickly, but sadly, these high damage and high mobility skills have longer cooldowns, so when enemies don't die quickly, you can run out of options and not be able to close the gap with the ranged enemies. So then in my quick summary, the Barbarian is a fast and powerful AoE class that can handle itself across all game modes. He can provide some of the best group buffs in the game, and getting your Awakened gear and Paragon will unlock you even more power. This class utilizes all skills very good, so this allows the player to experiment and mix up their playstyle without having to sacrifice damage. So if you're looking to be a warrior with a very high damage, then this is the class for you. So then going over to the next class, which is the necromancer, and we will put him right in the A tier. So necromancer is the master of manipulating life and death. With strong AoE and crowd control abilities as well as summons, he can deal massive amounts of damage. This class is basically really good at almost all roles. Its powerful summons make it by far the best class for solo content, and your strong support abilities provide a great utility in group content. And then lastly, corpses provide a unique resource to necromancer that is unavailable to any other class, that you can manage to achieve super high damage. So then moving over to the pros, a necromancer is very versatile and he excels at surviving and keeping his allies and minions alive. One of his abilities can taunt monsters, forcing all enemies nearby to attack you for a short time. One of your best gear pieces give you and your party a buff with 5 charges that can absorb 5 attacks no matter how much damage they do, so this is a very useful tool to use in endgame raids. Then as far as your cons go, Necromancer's only option for mobility is the Rat form, and your best legendary ability uses the same slot as this Rat form, so you will have to decide to sacrifice damage for mobility and go with full DPS playstyle, or instead have a bit better mobility. Then as well, this class's nearly all of the best abilities are short to mid range, so you have to get up close and personal with your enemies. While this does make you more squishy, keep in mind that short range abilities are usually balanced around higher risk and reward. So then in my summary, the Necromancer's class can do it all. He can summon, support and use crowd control, perform AoE and single target skills, and much more. This class has the highest crowd control in the game, which makes the Necromancer amazing for PvE and PvP as well. And then lastly, if you go with the support build, the Necromancer can use bone armor to protect their allies or to reduce the defenses of your enemies, and that's about it. So then going over to the next class, which is the Crusader, and he gets to be included right next to the Necromancer. So the Crusader is a paladin that wants to remove all evil from this world. The Crusader charges forwards on their glorious mission, leading your party with high AoE damage, incredible speed and party-wide buffs. As the Crusader, you will quickly crush groups of weak enemies, as almost every skill at your disposal is very good at AoE based damage. So then moving over to the pros, and the Crusader is a melee and AoE damage based class with the fastest overall movement speed in the game. If damage becomes a problem, then Crusader has defensive skills such as Punish for improved block chance or Conjuring of Light to make you and your party invulnerable for a short duration. Crusaders also fill a party role as a tank/scout, dealing AoE damage to trash monsters, triggering events and pulling enemies together to then use big AoE skills. Overall, the Crusaders are top tier choice for their high AoE damage, incredible movement speed, impressive defensive skills, and very effective party buffs. So then as far as your weaknesses go, Crusader is vulnerable to stuns and interrupts, causing you to immediately lose the entire duration of your ability. Most builds for this class relies on casting other skills before casting your main damage dealer, so this further decreases your damage during stuns and interrupts. Crusaders have poor single target damage and high cooldown duration skills. This leads to many situations where all of your skills are on cooldown, leaving you with only lackluster primary skill. As a result, certain bosses can be difficult to kill in challenging rifts. So then in my quick summary, Crusaders are melee and AoE damage based class with the fastest overall movement speed in the game. This class is very good at AoE damage, but you can be out damaged by other classes at single target DPS, and that's about it. So then going over to one of the last classes, which is the Wizard, and we will put her right in the A tier. So Wizard is your traditional mage class. She can manipulate arcane forces, pushing her enemies into oblivion. Wizards are the pure spellcaster skills, wielding elemental magic with high AoE and crowd control. This class is definitely for strategic players that enjoy spell synergy combos, control over opponents, skill shots and devastating damage. So then as for the pros, the Wizard can be played with ranged spells to deal damage from afar safely, or you can turn her into a battle mage for more up-close gameplay. One of her best skills is the movement skill called Teleport, which is used to instantly reposition during combat or to travel long distances quickly. When your teammates pull all the mobs very close to each other, the Wizard will unleash her massive arsenal, which will do massive amounts of damage. So then as far as your weaknesses go, the Wizard skills tend to have long cooldowns. Implementing strategy in which order to use these cooldowns is very important, especially for skills that benefit from being used together in combos. This is an intelligent base class, so you need to play smart to get out of the Wizard the best possible results. So then in my quick summary, the Wizard is a tactical mage class that is effective across PvE and PvP. This class can access many skill combinations and builds, allowing players to try out different playstyles. This is the perfect class for players that love strategic gameplay with high AoE skill cap. And then lastly, as a wizard, you will get access to very cool and massive AoE abilities like Black Hole, Arcane Wind, Meteor, and much more. So if you want to be a mage and a massive damage dealer, then this is the class for you. So then moving over to the last and final class, which is the monk, and we will place him right in the B tier. So the monk is a master of martial arts. He is a fast-paced fighter class that in PvE can deal quick hits and does pretty nice DPS. With the power of gods in his fist, the monk performs attacks together to destroy his enemies, resulting in a fast and agile melee fighting class. The combat for monk is action-packed, and you will be able to use different skills together to create a bunch of devastating combos to destroy all the strong targets. So then moving over to your pros, and the monk is a melee damage class with the biggest arsenal of group support skills in the game, but this does not force you to assume a dedicated support role in parties, so you can carry your own weight in a group, and your support skills increase your viability and adds more exciting elements to the class. Even without going full support, you can give up one skill for protecting or buffing your teammates and much more. The overall mobility of the monk is high, with being able to dash around in any direction, allowing you to control the battlefield. So then as far as your weaknesses go, while the monk has a variety of skills available to them, most of them are situational, which leads to less variety in actual builds. Especially in solo content, there's little variety because the DPS options are quite limited. Monk's main single target ability is a pet skill. If they get distracted, you can easily find yourself slowly losing DPS against stronger bosses. And then lastly, you are required to use skills in the right order for the best efficiency possible, which makes the class more difficult to play and easy to interrupt. So then in my final conclusions, the monk is a swift and agile melee class with lots of utility and defensive skills for both themselves and their party. With the right legendary items, you're able to turn your defensive skills into even more devastating damage abilities or to improve your original effects. So if you want a good solo class, experience fast-paced action, and be able to help out your friends, the monk is the right choice for you, so have fun. And with that said, I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other good Diablo Immortal classes or guides that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe, and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With all this said, you have an amazing day, and I will catch you in my next video. So take it easy, peace.